Vlad here from Spirit Forge. I'm bringing you yet another very interesting and relatively budget deck. It's not super budget, but it can be very interesting for new players coming into the game who don't want to chase the dazzling auroras of this world for $80 or something like, White Flame Protectors, which are also going for like $80, which is crazy. There's a lot of expensive cards right now in the game, and very few decks that are competitive are as cheap as this one. So, this deck is the Viktor nearly mono yellow deck. So we have here the Viktor leader. You only need one off in this deck. I've not played Viktor all that much, to be quite honest, but I created this deck based off of a few different decks I've been seeing floating around online. So this is kind of my take on Viktor and how you can craft it without breaking the bank too much. I believe if you're after a Viktor deck, this is probably the best one you'll be able to find, and it's gonna cost you about maybe $150 with today's prices, ballpark, obviously. So I want to just go through the deck with you, just show you what's been put inside, what makes it stand out, and how you can win games with it. So that's my point today. So let's start. Obviously, Viktor Legend and Viktor Leader. The Viktor Legend is very, very cool because it lets you basically for just one energy get a recruit token out whenever you can fill your curve out. So if you have 3 runes active and you have a 2 energy unit or spell in your hand, you can always kind of fill that gap with this leader. And why I say that is because it's just in all card games, and this one as well, it's super important to play on curve, to play for tempo. This one more so than any other one I've played before. So have the Legend, which we just briefly went through. We have Viktor Leader. When another non-recruit unit you control dies, play a 1 might recruit unit token into your base. With this card, whenever you do get to play it and you want to play it as soon as possible, you will 90% of the time want to just keep it tapped in your base, and that's it. You just want to use it for the effect. And in an absolutely need to scenario, you can put it on a battlefield. Basically, if you're trying to just push 4 more extra might into a battlefield to win you the game. In other circumstances, you almost never want to pull this one out of your base because you only have 1 of, and it's your chosen champion, and it's very strong, especially just considering for its effect. Obviously, the 4 might, who cares about 4 might? Okay, so let's go through some of the basics of the deck. The point of the deck is for you to obviously generate a lot of recruit tokens. So tokens are 1 might units, which you can summon using a lot of your different cards. Here are the recruits, and I specifically use these ones because thematically they look like something Viktor could spawn. There are other recruit tokens as well, but these ones, the design kind of appeals to me the most. So units. We have our basics. Let's actually go through this one first. We have the Faithful Manufacturer, a very solid 3 energy play, 2 might, but you do get a recruit token out of it. You do want to run 3 of these because it's just staple card for Viktor. There's not much else we can say about it, obviously. We have Vanguard Captain. Quite often, I got to see that I got this card in my starting hand going second or even going first, and I would have to play it without Legion, which is just painful. So that's why I cut one of these out, and we're only running 2. So that's the Vanguard Captain. Then we have the Noxian Drummer. When I move to a battlefield, play a 1 might recruit token here. So this is also not, I think, not worth having three of. There's a lot of different other cards that you want to use that third slot for. This is a very nice token generator, a very high tempo card, but it is a little risky, and it is I don't know. It's just you don't need three of these. Two is fine. Two of these is fine as well. This is the main guy, so you want three of those, obviously. And then we have another main unit, which is the Soaring Scout. So free ramp, free 1 might unit. You obviously want this for Viktor because Viktor, specifically this deck, has a lot of power costs, like a lot. That's why we're going to be running 2 Seals of Unity, and I'm also kind of thinking about adding maybe even a third one in there. But for now, we're going to be at 2, and we're going to cover that card very, very soon. Okay, so then we have 2 of these guys, also very cheap minion. Draw 1, death now. We just need a little bit of draw in this deck. This deck struggles with just having cards in your hand. So we do need a little bit of extra oomph there to just kind of give us some leeway and give us some, basically give us something to draw from time to time. So that's why we have this guy in here. We have then the Machine Evangel. I'm thinking of cutting this one maybe down to 1 copy because it is a little too slow, to be quite honest. And more often than not, you really might not even need to, but I like to see this guy in my hand, even in like on my second turn. And you know, it's a very swingy but very risky card to play, but it's, you know, it's outputting a lot of value specifically for Viktor. That's why I like it a lot. It is, as I mentioned, a little slow. If you're going into a matchup like Kaisa or Annie, you probably would want to cut maybe even both of these guys out of your deck and slot something in from your side deck. So, but in the main version, I like using this guy because there's not a lot of aggro decks floating around right now. So yeah, this is the biggest surprise piece of the deck, and this is one of my absolutely favorite cards in Riftbound. That's why I slotted 3 of them. The biggest thing about this card is it's just nobody suspecting you're playing Shen and Viktor. I've never seen anybody play this card. Maybe a one-off, but 3, no. So it's a very cool card. It's essentially for 3 energy, you get to react with a 5-might defensive unit that also has tank. So you can protect something very cool that you may have. You may even want to bait your opponent by putting your Viktor down to a battlefield, baiting them into wanting to kill it, and you just play a Shen up there. There's no way to counter it, I believe. I mean, they can try with a few, you know, clever reactionary spells, but that's rarely going to happen. So I just like the surprise factor of this guy, and he's just super strong in my opinion. And obviously the 1 power cost is a little steep, but that's why we have the Seals of Insight in this deck. Then we have 2 of our biggest guys in the deck. I used to want to try doing Thousand Tail Watcher 2 copies, but I wanted to have this deck be a little spicy. So that's why I put Darius in here. It's obvious why this Darius is strong in this deck. You have a lot of recruit units. You have a lot of just units on board, right? And this guy is just bonkers crazy with like 5 recruit units that you just have ready in your base and you want to send them out to a battlefield. So it's a surprise card. I'm not seeing this card played in Viktor all that much. So that's why I wanted to slot 1 in. Thousand Tail Watcher, what is there to say about this card? It's just amazing, right? So I don't like following the general consensus of the meta and everybody saying, hey, this card is broken. I usually like to think more critically about cards that are deemed powerful by default, but there's nothing to think about. This card is just great. So that's why I'm considering maybe doing just 2 of the Thousand Tail Watchers, but I think this might be a nice spread. So there you go. That's it for the units. I don't think there's any more, But let's get on to the spells quickly. So we have Imperial Decree. When any unit takes damage this turn, kill it. Super self-explanatory, super expensive spell. That's why we run 2 of them. You may even want to cut it down to 1 because it is expensive. But we do also run 2 Grand Stratagems here, which is also just a hugely expensive and risky play. But more often than not, this play can win you the game. So either of these 2 options are very, very powerful in the late game. Very powerful. So what you want to do basically throughout most of your games, not all of them, you're building recruit tokens into your base. You're not moving them all that much. You don't want to lose them. You get to a point where your opponent is conquering fields and battlefields and putting a lot of might units on there. Just play one of these and push like 5 recruit tokens on spread out across both battlefields, and you just instantly win the game. You basically wipe everything out that they may have. So that's the main guy. Yeah, right. We do have more minions. We have the cool patron, just a huge temple swing unit. You can just utilize one of the tokens you generated with Viktor on your turn 1, and you just play this on turn 2, and it's bonkers. So we are running 2 of these. It's a very strong card, and I like the temple swing, and the cost is not that high, just 1 recruit token. This is basically a 5 energy, 6 might unit. So that's why I like it a lot. Now, as I mentioned before, we don't have a lot of draw. So this, we're just running 1 off. It is expensive, and we usually don't want to, we don't want to spend all that much energy or mana anywhere other than just generating tokens and winning the game. But one of these from time to time can help you just get that extra draw, because as I mentioned, this deck loses steam quite a bit, and you can get your hand bricked from time to time. So you want to at least have one of these just as a safeguard. But you can obviously use this slot, swap this out for something in your side deck. Then we have 1 copy of Sprite Mother. When you play a ready 3 Sprite unit token with temporary. There's a reason why this card is an uncommon that costs $3, give or take, today. So this is just a very, very, very strong card, but it doesn't synergize all that well with what this deck wants to do. So that's why we just put 1 off. There's a lot of blue decks that just auto include 3 of these in there, but it's just not letting us do what we need to. So that's why we just have 1 in case there's a heavy tempo swing from your opponent and you just need that extra power to get on your board. 2 Seals of Unity. One of them's a proxy. I'm supposed to get it in a few days, so don't laugh at me, please. 2 Seals of Unity. I was even thinking getting 3 in here, cut something else, but I don't like seeing, I don't like situations where in the first 4 turns I draw 3 Seals of Unity. It's just that extra card slot that I could have drawn something that I could have used actually is very important to me, and that's why I think 2 of these are more than fine, and I would not bump it up to 3. A lot of Viktor yellow decks like running 3 of these, but I personally think it makes the deck a little bit worse. So there you go, 2 Seals of Unity. If you get 1 up during your game, you're already golden. If you get 2, that's great. If you get 3, that's too much. So that's the point. Then we have Hidden Blade, staple spell in any yellow deck ever. It's just crazy. You can often target this on your own recruit token when your opponent is trying to kind of get a huge push in with like 3 minions and you're just holding down with 1 recruit token. You just want to have this hidden or maybe play it out of hand sometimes to just get yourself to draw 2. But also more often than not, you can also use it to just get rid of some big threat that your opponent has put down. So there you go. Phasebreaker, also cool card. It's very nice because not a lot of people expect you to play this. I don't know why, but whenever I've seen it played against a lot of people, whenever a lot of people played this against me, I was surprised. I was like, oh my god, I hate this card so much. And whenever I do play it against people, they never expect it. They always expect maybe a hidden blade or something else. And you just hit them with this and they're like, oh my God, that's insane. So yeah, there you go. And this spell also staple in Victor. You have a lot of recruit tokens that you can use to kind of just pay for this automatically. So each player kills one of their units. If your opponent is playing mid-rangey, minion heavy deck, this is a great resource for you to have to kind of just trade one recruit token for one of their 5, 6, 7 might units. Then we have just one copy of Singularity in the main deck, and this is also one of the slots I like to use to swap things in and out of from the side deck. So Singularity, very, very strong card. Thing is, with this deck, we're only running 4 blue runes, which is not that great considering that this card costs 2 blue power to play. But we are running a spread of 8 yellow and 4 blue. And yeah, this card is just extremely good, but it's very clunky to play in Victor. And as well as some of the other ones like Sprite Mother, right? It's not actually doing, it's not helping you do things you want to do with this deck. That's why we're running just one of these, and you can obviously use these to swap them in and out of your side deck if you need to. So yeah, that's essentially the whole deck. There's not enough room for me to spread everything out, but I will link the whole deck list under the video. So don't get caught up with trying to kind of look at all of these. You're going to be able to see them online. So then we have 3 different battlefields here for this deck. We have obviously Trifarian Warcamp. This is your main pick, first pick battlefield. Units here have +1 might. This is insanely good. So I don't think there's any need for me to explain why this is good in this deck. So Altar to Unity, I would consider this as your second or third choice, depending on who you're playing against. But you do have the option between Altar to Unity and Valmoz's Lair. Units can't move from here to base. Why this card is good in Victor, and specifically against certain types of decks. For example, if you're playing into a Kaisa or a Set or a Yi or an Annie, these decks like to conquer, go back to base, and conquer again later. So they don't play the whole game. They play the conquer game, right? And this card prevents them from conquering the battlefield multiple times. So that's why we like running one of these in this Victor deck. And then Altar to Unity, obviously. When you hold here, player 1 might recruit token to your base. It's just another token generator. So as I mentioned, runes-wise, 8 yellow, 4 blue, right? So that's the spread. We have a lot of power costs associated with yellow, so that's why we want to do that type of spread, right? So now we're getting into the side deck. Side deck, 2 copies of 4 cards. We're going to go through each one of them. Salvage, very easy to understand why we want to run this. A lot of decks are playing Dazzling Aurora right now. It's not just Misfortune. It's also sometimes E, sometimes Volley there. So this is a great card to kind of swap into your deck to beat those types of decks in the future. So you can always kind of just ditch a Singularity or ditch a Sprite Mother and put 2 of these copies in when you're playing against something like that. Retreat, also very good, for example, against Kaisa, because you can retreat your own units before she throws down her big spells, or any spell, but for that matter. So, excuse me. So when she's playing, her Hextech Rays, her Falling Stars, or even the Catian Rain, this can save your unit, put it into your hand, channels your rune, and also forces your opponent to make new choices for their spell, especially if it's a do this type of spell. For example, Catian Rain, right? So you can cast this before a Kaisa is able to even choose stuff, because you can react to the main spell, get your unit back into your hand, and if you've got one of your big units back into your hand that they are probably going to want to target, you can put this in your hand and they need to target something else. And quite often they also might need to target some of their own units if you have none on board at that moment. Quickly explain, very cool card. Vengeance, kill a unit. Very, very simple, very easy. This one's just nuts good for the Voloders of the world, or big orange stuff that I'm always afraid of, such as Dead Blooms and what have you. So it's a good card when you're playing against a deck that just likes running big minions in any way. 2 Siphon Powers. Why are we keeping this in the side deck? This is for the mirror. So if you're playing against a deck that is going wide, that is basically, if you're playing against a Viktor, you want to play this. Obviously, you want to have 2 of these in your deck at any time, just so you can counter all of the huge numbers of minions that they're gonna want to send out to battlefields. So that's your side deck. That's the whole deck profile. There you go. I'm hoping that you guys are going to use this deck in good health, and I'm hoping that you're going to make Dazzling Aurora players cry with Imperial Decree. So, and I hope that you try this deck out and let me know what you think and what you managed to do with it. So, very, very cool deck. I can't wait to try it on my own still. I've not tried it yet, but it does seem like a very, very, very cool deck to me. So I'll maybe do a video just going over what I was able to do with this deck in the coming few days. There's going to be a lot of tournament plays in Serbia where I'm located, and we're going to probably try this deck out quite a bit. So there you go. See you next time. Bye.